You are listening to Anja Notanja Asks today on July 3rd, 2025. And today I have with me a total stranger I met on the street about not even a month ago. I was writing poetry and this guy bought a poem, but he also, not always, but always in this instance, since it was the only instance, he also asked me if he could write me a poem back. And his eagerness and his enthusiasm brought me to the realization immediately that he should come on the show. So here we are. We have poet Claustro, and Claustro will introduce himself by reading a poem.
This poem is called Crumbs. Salivating behind a shoulder, in the back of the pecking order. Hunger grips and twists the pain in my stomach, an insatiable appetite for just a little bit of the feast I see others share, to alleviate this heavy burden that I bear, like the shadow I always wear. While alphas, omegas, and strangers dine on secrets, subtleties, and whispers, the endless shadows crawl on the dining room floor, one among the many begging for a little more, like the desperation and fear that scrapes off my knees. This isn't where I thought I'd be. Eggplants, peaches, and water remind me how lonely I am without her. While others sip on seduction, dine on heart-stricken crimes, and kiss lipstick red wines, paid for with silver dollars and dimes. I scrape and claw the small fragments of feeling to add a soul to this being. A small stomach doesn't need much, like a broken leg to a crutch. But these crumbs taste so sweet. Time and attention is the greatest treat. Don't give me too much or I'll start to hope, and that itself is the biggest joke. Sometimes you toss me subtlety or a curious eye, a feeling like soaring through the sky, anticipation like an appetizer before a meal, the kind of thing only lovers' lips could seal. Though crumbs on the floor is all my tongue seems to lick, while hesitantly adding another brick. Maybe if I traded this cloud for a rainbow, I'd have better luck and get out of this place. I'm so ravenously stuck. I guess this makes me easier to please, a small cost to put my mind at ease. Under the sun, I slept, stared at the moon and wept. Cornerstones of healthy gray matter splinter and shatter, drowned out to a noise of endless chatter. Bound to endure another Midwestern winter, stuck in a tremble and constant shiver. Like the hunger in my stomach I wither, bound to a cold-hearted kind of slither. While I stay busy, bricking my wall, and resisting the urge to fall, I hope you skip a step when you realize you slept on something you should have kept. But these crumbs taste so sweet. Time and attention is the greatest treat. Don't give me too much or I'll start to hope, and that itself is the biggest joke. I know one day the weather will change. If it did, I'd feel so strange, like a snow to a sudden melt. Could be the most beautiful feeling I ever felt.
Yes. I think you accurately described very viscerally and evocatively exactly what it is like to be in your young years, but love is always inconvenient.
Yes.
And you always want what you cannot have.
Yes, no, most definitely. It's that tug and pull and working for something but not getting it. Being almost skeptical and realizing that you might not get what you want. It's kind of a meditation on loneliness. That was kind of where I was coming from with that. And it was one of those poems, like, as creatives, you love that feeling when it just comes to you. You know what I mean? You don't have to think about it. It's almost premeditated in your head from feeling.
Oh, nothing's more inspiring than frustration.
Yes. That's one of my biggest inspirations.
Yes, I can tell. And, I've been there myself. And even to this day, sometimes when I'm really trying to write a poem, even though I am happily married, I'm settled, I have a lot of good things going for me in my life, sometimes I have to regurgitate ancient, stale desires from 15 years ago.
Oh, yes.
Just to feel a screech of that old sourpuss.
Yes. The nails on the chalkboard from the past.
Yes. Yeah, and a lot of people, and I should warn you of this, but a lot of people who are poets stop writing poems once they have found love, once they have found security or a good job. And I want to urge you today, I don't know how old you are, I would guess in your 20s.
Yes, almost 30, I'm 29.
Okay.
So we're getting there.
Okay, yes. I would urge you to write poetry every day anyway.
Yes, just to keep that blade sharp, to keep that whetstone sharpening your craft. Yes.
Yes, and 29 is a dangerous time.
Oh, no, it is.
Because 29 is when I found my husband, you know?
Wow.
Yeah.
But no, I totally see where you're coming from, because, yes, that contentness can kind of kill certain kinds of inspiration.
Yes.
That's why I kind of live and thrive for the conflict. And that the conflict, the friction, that's some of my favorite topics to explore as a poet, as an artist, and especially in music too. All forms of art. I just love that conflict aspect to art.
Well, I mean, is it interesting if you're like, today the weather was all right.
It was beautiful outside.
It was calm and lukewarm. It was easygoing.
Yes, that's why authors pick characters that are exciting, thrilling. They're not your average run-of-the-mill person. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people don't write poems about summer. They write poems about the more difficult months.
Yes, the winter, the autumn, the change of the seasons.
Yeah, so there's hope in the spring.
Everything dies and then comes back to life. That in and of itself is a natural miracle that we can grow with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't go to these like very stuffy poetry readings and people go, summer, sunlight,
sunbeams,
crisping my skin,
tanning my warm body over the sun.
So tell me, Claustro.
Yes.
Claustro is your pen name. Tell me about this character you are.
Most definitely. So one, I was always sort of inspired by the long-running tradition of pen names in literature. But this character of mine, it was born actually from a fantasy of being a musician. Now, I can't sing for anything. When I sing, the dogs start howling in the neighborhood.
Can we hear it?
You know, hell. Oh, no. Oh, no. Yeah, we're not there yet. We're still going to start with poetry, and then we're going to work up to singing. Then maybe I can sing a little tune for you.
Okay.
But yeah, I had a fantasy of being a musician, and music is a huge part of my life. It's one of my biggest inspirations. Artists like Trent Reznor, Maynard James Keenan, Marilyn Manson, Abel Tesfaye. What I loved about their art is they gave you the yin and the yang. They gave you the positivity, but they also explored the conflict, the negative. And the name claustrophobic kind of came to me. I was like, I'm going to chop the phobic off. And the topics that I wanted to explore is that love, that positivity, the empathy, the passion, the most beautiful of our human emotions, but also that yang, the depression, anger, irrational thoughts, selfish thoughts. Those I've always kind of gravitated towards that yin and yang. It's probably partly because I'm a Gemini, so that's just kind of naturally built into my character, but that area is what I love to see. And also, my initials for my Christian government name are NH. I wanted to separate myself from myself. I don't think the ego should be celebrated in a way. I wanted to use an identity, a look, a name to further push my art. And yeah, that's kind of how it all came together in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm similar in that my pen name is Anja, not Anja, because I find Anja is a very limited person, and so the notness allows me to transcend and become anyone I need to be through art.
I love that. Anja, not Anja. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
I know before we did the show, you were kind of talking about how Claustro is also an exploration of being uncomfortably close to yourself.
Yes.
What are some signs that a person is uncomfortably close to themselves?
When you have skeletons in the closet and you have a hard time looking at yourself in the mirror, I think that's when you are not uncomfortably close to yourself enough. I think that looking yourself in the mirror, being honest, being truthful, it comes with maturity, but it's also a skill that we need to learn to grow and evolve as human beings. There was a time in my life, naturally, we're very emotional beings and we react instead of respond. If someone calls us out on something that we're doing wrong, a mistake, we inherently don't want to be wrong. But I think growing your intellect, growing your mind, you learn to take a step back, look at yourself kind of honestly, and try to separate your mind and look at you from the outside in a way. And that goes for the positive and the negative. I think we should celebrate those beautiful emotions that make us human. Be prideful of the positivity that you put out in the world, but also temper that pride with the mistakes and the natural flaws of being a human.
Yes.
Yes, that's kind of, and I try to be on that as much as I can. I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. I'm going to keep making mistakes, but as long as I am aware and stay aware, I think we can grow and evolve together faster,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that. So I met you when you were out strolling in the world.
Yes.
Outside a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do you stroll at other times?
I stroll all the time.
And okay, so tell me then, I want you to describe for our listeners something that you saw recently while you were out strolling.
Well, one thing that I've been constantly taking note of is just the beautiful, and as basic as it is to say, the weather, the fauna, the animals. Here in the Midwest, we all know that it is cold and gray and dark the majority of the year. And I'm a landscaper, so I'm out and about all the time. Get a great tan, which I'm enjoying, but seeing the fauna grow from gray to green, this lush green, seeing the animals and just the people out and about, I try to take time out of my day just to soak that in.
Landscaper, what plants do you think people should plant more of these days that they aren't?
That they aren't?
Yeah.
That is the Japanese maple.
Oh, my parents have one. They're gorgeous.
They're absolutely gorgeous. We don't plant them a lot, but I think the color, their leaves.
Purple.
Yes, purple and beautiful. I see some of them walking the streets in Milwaukee. And I just think it's the most beautiful tree that I've ever come across. That and willows.
They're delicate. They have such little leaves.
Yes, very delicate, very little leaves, and you can keep them small. You can kind of keep them in a bubble. You can
bonsai them?
You can, yes. That's a perfect way to describe it. You can bonsai the Japanese maple.
Who would ever bonsai a Japanese tree?
The Japanese. They would do the best job at it.
Yeah. Do you have another poem for us?
I do have another poem for you guys. So this poem kind of is a meditation on one of the greatest questions that humanity has been asking itself since the dawn of time, since our inception. I wrote one poem that's very hopeful, positive, and connective. This is the opposite end of that spectrum.
Whenever we fell out of the great mammal, this is the poem that was written.
Exactly. This is the first step after the missing link here. This poem is called Someone Said We Should Meet. My head has been beneath the waves, deliriously losing the track of days, choking on salt in the vast emptiness of a bottomless, dizzying sea. I've become the cold bite of a winter morning, a red sunrise with an all too familiar warning. Someone said we should meet, a hand and a smile you would greet, the kind of friend to lift you up when you're down. What's long been lost can still be found. Said you could teach the definition of a long-lost word. An echo in the dark is what I heard. Someone said we should meet. Apparently I wouldn't have to look far, found in the light and furnace of each and every burning star, in the aches and pains of my sun and moon, and in the places we travel after our doom, even in the crust of my calloused, rough hands and the hourglass of dune sinking sands. Someone said we should meet. All those personal demons he could defeat. Cuts, scratches, and scabs do heal in the energy and warmth I'd feel. Answering who, what, when, and where, found in the eyes of his ominous stare. Bathed in essence to begin anew, heard from the many, but taught by a few. So I tied my shoes and I bit my lip. I ate the body and took a sip. I spoke to nothing with ears wide open, held it heavy and kept on hoping. So I knocked on your door and I read the script, followed the light to a garden and marble crypt. I remembered the rules that were easy to follow and kept a promise made easy to swallow. I've aged a millennium waiting for your arrival. Silence is the beckoning to further unravel. Time under the throne only made me wallow. I don't think I've ever heard words so hollow. Someone said we should meet. How long do you expect me to search in this torturous sleet? If time was beholding to you, I don't think any of your promises would ever come true. I spoke the spat and knelt to the saliver, only to taste the venom of a seductive sliver. What do you expect me to do? I haven't gotten a clue. Someone said we should meet, but you let history repeat. From the blood-soaked blade buried beneath bones and earth, found in the ravenous abomination of every insidious birth. Like the rhythm and rhyme of each imperfection I scream, and each shadow found in your heavy light beam. Someone said we should meet, but I never held a hand or heard a voice. Your gifts in charity are made in purposeful choice. Not given to all, but maybe a few, wondering why I didn't get what's due. Thanks for the feast, blood and long dead fish. Empty hands and promises could toast this dish. Someone said we should meet, scents of wheat and sticks of meat. Sour grapes poured in a contagious chalice, mashed with lies and hateful malice. A shutter shade covering the light, hiding a truth too loud and bright. When Father abandoned his son, he lost his spirit. Delusions and excuses, I don't want to hear it. Left us to a sinister snake's temptation and a fallen angel's coronation. Someone said we should meet, but if we ever met, I would try to kill you, I bet. If these are the games you like to play, I don't want to say it any other kind of way. I think instead I'll sit on this throne and call this cold, dead headlamp my home. Found in the same place where I began, still searching for an outside helping hand. The most frustrating rule to your faithful compliance is the deafening nature of your silence.
Wow. So your childhood was Catholic or Lutheran?
It was Catholic.
Okay.
It was definitely Catholic. Yes, I went to a Catholic preschool. Yes, had Sunday school every morning. And as I got older and exposed to different ideas of belief, nihilism, existentialism, and just maturing in the world, I looked at everything I was taught with a more critical light.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to question authority, religious, political, familial, because powers that inner authority, there's always an opportunity to abuse that. And I try to keep a healthy skepticism with all authority like that.
Yes. I was also raised Catholic and have strayed into agnostic murkiness, but last summer I was writing poems on the street, as I do, and a priest got snared into my net.
Yeah.
And he
wow.
and I had a very interesting and engaging conversation, but of course, at a certain point it has to turn into, do you pray? Do you believe in God?
Yes.
And you know, I didn't give him the answers he wanted. And his question for me that he left me with was, you know what? I'm not going to judge you. I'm just going to ask you one question for you to think about. And the question he asked me was, if you don't go to church and you don't pray to God and everything, how do you hold yourself accountable?
Mm-hmm.
Who is the authority? And
Yes.
I had to think about it, but I thought about it later, and I was like, this is exactly the kind of thinking I needed to get away from, because I was always in the wrong. I was always making myself small, and and to this day I'm always recoiling and going anytime I do anything that's wrong, because I can feel it so deeply.
Yes.
That I don't think I need like a divine Godhead to make it worse.
To further judge your actions in a way.
I'm already very critical.
Yes, I think nobody talks to ourselves like we talk to ourselves. I think everybody is super critical. And I can see what you mean with having a deity like that you so strongly believe in. And when you deviate from their rules, their script, it's even more impactful on your emotions.
And I mean, I would say, you know, it is good for some people to go to church and to believe in God and everything. And I think that's okay, because some people are just naturally less reflective. They're less self-reflective, and they need someone to hold them accountable. But when you're hyper self-reflective, it's not actually helpful.
No, it's not, because we already deal with that. We don't need that X factor.
Right.
Yes. No, I think the one great thing about hopefully all religions is the base is a love. You know what I mean? So I'm always open to any kind of dogma coming my way. And I think there's something special with not holding on to one thing, because you are then open to potentially anything and everything. You know what I mean? One of my favorite bands says, don't believe in anything, because then you can take in and accept whatever bits of information come your way. And I've kind of held on to that. I think that's, at least for me personally, a good way.
The one thing I'm certain of is you can never be certain.
Yes. Yep. We're not built to know the answers, but it's so fun talking and getting each other's perspectives.
Yes.
On that.
And speaking of openness,
yes.
Do you have an assignment of a creative nature for our listeners?
Yes. Yep. I loved this question when you shot up my way. For my listeners, whatever art you partake in, make it contradictory. Whatever it is, whether that comes to poetry, maybe starting without rhyme, working with rhyme, whether it's a subject that you're working on, make it conflicted, make it not make sense in a way, at odds with itself.
Can you give it an example of something that you've done with this?
Yes, with this, maybe talking about, maybe this is not something I've done personally, but describing a love, and then pouring your heart out, all the things that you love and cherish about this person, but then maybe declining in a bit of time, and then flipping the script and having that yin and the yang. What do you despise? What can you not stand? And have them right next to each other in the same room.
Okay, so maybe a good assignment, if I were to jump off of what you're saying,
Yes, please.
is to think of someone who you really, really dislike a lot personally, and maybe someone you know. But it's probably better to go with someone who you actually know in your real life rather than Donald Trump or something. But you could do Donald Trump.
But you could, if that's your inspiration.
Right. And I think you have to think of this person, and you have to just really make a list of things that you actually admire.
Yes.
In them.
Because there's no such thing as black and white with anything. It's all gray.
Yes, and for those of us who have strayed from church, who are, if you have to go back to church to see a cousin get married and you're sitting there getting triggered by the environment, I want you to think of all the things that you really are grateful that you got from church.
Yes.
And then I think it honestly tends to work better if you go with the things that you already dislike than the things that you like and want to tarnish, because your brain already tarnishes everything, you know?
And the negative, unfortunately, always stands out in our mind more than the positive most of the time. So use that as your starting point with whatever person, what other subject, what part of your life, society, whatever inspires you to be very critical about, but also shed light on the positive. Yeah. The yin and the yang, like the human experience in a way.
Yeah. Like, and this is what I always say, I am not a fan of Donald Trump in any way, but as a person who is employed in public relations, I can assure you that the one thing he is totally excellent at is public relations.
Most definitely.
Yes.
Yes. I think his experience with, in the entertainment industry.
Yes.
He has used that to an incredible advantage.
He has bounced back.
Oh, yes, he has. It's kind of crazy. Yes. I'm not a fan.
No.
As well.
No.
Yeah, but yes.
Yeah.
One thing I could say is it sounds like he might have a bill that's not going to tax overtime.
Okay.
I think I heard, so there's one positive.
Yeah, there we go.
Yep, there we go.
That's just an example.
Yes.
But yeah, think of things, think of people, think of places that you don't like, and find something in there that you do like, and maybe you'll have a little less torment and a little more nuance to your perspective, and it also creates a little sweet sour in whatever you're creating.
Yes, and whatever you're talking about, it's going to give you a better 360 view of whatever it is, because you're going to be looking at the whole thing instead of just one side of it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Which gets tiresome anyways. We've all heard it.
It's not as engaging or enthralling.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, it looks like we are about to end the show. This went really fast. You're going to have to come back sometime, Claustro.
I would love to, Anja.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I feel honored to be with such a great creative.